Hello, everyone. I'm Francine from Autumn is Here. Merry Christmas to everyone. I hope you're enjoying your Christmas today. I just wanted to come and talk to you about Alzheimer's. And what happened was I had a meeting with the Alzheimer's. I had it scheduled, and they were not able to do the interview at the time. So I do not have my final show with the Alzheimer's representative, but I did get information from them because I did sit in on a Zoom that they had with people from all over, directors, counselors, and people who were in charge of different departments in Alzheimer's that was all over the country, from New Mexico to Georgia to different places. So they did give a lot of good information. And since they're not here, and we're in the Christmas season, I'm going to give you some good information. So they had people from directors, and the director of programming was talking about how people were getting confused with dementia and Alzheimer's. And he was saying that dementia is a syndrome. Dementia is not a disease, it's a syndrome. And Alzheimer's is a disease. A syndrome doesn't necessarily have a distinguished symptom. So say dementia, you forget. Alzheimer's, you will forget, but you can recognize it, the symptoms and the treatment. So you may forget, but you have the inability to retrace your steps. So you know what happens when we forget. Sometimes we walk in one room and we go, why am I in here? But then we'll come back and go, oh no, I was in the kitchen and it got cold, so I went to close the window. You can remember that. If you have Alzheimer's, you'll end up in another area and you won't remember how you got here or why you got there. That is something that will recognize that it could be Alzheimer's. If you are retelling the story over and over again, or if you hear your parent or your grandparent retell the story over and over again, like within a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, they tell a story, same exact story, same exact way, over and over again, that can be a sign of Alzheimer's. If your memory loss disturbs your regular daily life, that can be a sign. Your regular daily things that you always do, whatever you do, you get up, you go to work, or you get up and you exercise, whatever you do, you go to the grocery store and you just can't figure it out. You just can't figure out what you're supposed to be doing. And it's something you've done over and over again. So those are different things. Now, some things are looked at as, okay, maybe they're regular forgetting, but these things are specific. That if these things are occurring, then maybe you should seek a doctor or seek help. They had a director that was there that was director of diversity and inclusion and engagement. And that was very interesting. That department is very interesting, where they include everybody. They make sure that if their tests, if their medicines, if their different diagnosis or different things that they have, and different information that they have on Alzheimer's, that it included everybody. When they took the test, when they decided how this was going to happen, or when they found out how this treatment worked, they included all kinds of different groups. They included people of color. They included people of different economic and social backgrounds. So this is what that group questions and asks, and make sure that everybody is included. The different demographic groups they consider, and because it could affect them. It could, if someone has a treatment and they didn't include different groups, is that treatment going to be effective on them? Now, we know Alzheimer's is something that attacks people regardless of your culture, but it also, in finding treatments and solutions and things to do, you need to include all the cultures that it affects, and it affects everyone. So they make sure no people are not left out. Hispanic and Black people are disproportionately misdiagnosed or late diagnosed. And they look into why is that? Is it economical? Is it education? Is it that they're not even taught that much about Alzheimer's, that they know what to look for or where to go? Could be a language barrier. Is it a language barrier that people are not understanding, or they don't know how to ask their doctor or to speak properly to their doctor, that their doctor will understand what's going on with them, that they're able to treat them? You know, do they have the best medical care, where they may say something to a doctor, but it may not be where they have good medical care, that the doctor doesn't tell them to take a test, or doesn't initiate a test for them, or doesn't send them to another doctor, to a neurologist, depending on what they're telling them. So it could be that. It could be so many different things that can affect different groups not being treated properly for the disease, or not being considered in the treatment and in the new developments that are happening. So they want to make sure they have medicines, that it helps everybody. And some of the ways that they try to get this learning curve to be better is to reach out to other communities, the different communities. They have statistics that say racism is affecting cognitive decline. That for some reason, African American has twice the incline to have Alzheimer's than white people. So there's a reason for that. So they look into different things like that. How they do this is partnering up with different groups. They partner up with civil groups, civil organizations, churches, groups like nurses, Hispanic nurses, and things like that. They're trying to build the trust in the community so people can ask questions, so people can be comfortable, and try to get them to understand what the disease is, so they'll recognize if they have it, or if they need to follow up with their doctors and see if they have it in their family, or if they have it, or they're going through it. Caregivers, please note that these are things that could happen, and if people are not diagnosed, then if you could be that person that initiates it, takes them to the doctor, asks the questions, get educated on the subject, that can help the person to see if they are indeed going through dementia or Alzheimer's. They also had a doctor there that was a director of Healthy Brain Initiative. And the main topic was about how cardiovascular affects Alzheimer's, how the blood flow affects Alzheimer's. So there are ways that he suggested that we should implement. One, of course, is exercise. Now, you get older, you don't exercise as much, but you need to keep that blood flowing. You need to keep that blood pumping to the brain. You need to keep that will help you in this. Take care of your heart. You take care of your heart. What's good for your heart is good for your brain. So take care of your heart. Make sure you take care of your heart. Make sure you eat well. If you eat well, especially as we get older, we may not eat as well as we used to eat. So try to keep that in mind. Also, quit smoking. Now, I'm not a smoker, but I know that it's difficult to do, but they just said this is something that it really affects your brain. It really affects your blood. Please, if you can, there are different ways to stop smoking. Reach out and try it. Sleep is very, very important. It is important to rejuvenate your brain, to get your brain rested, so your brain can rest and can rejuvenate. Quality of sleep, not broken sleep, not just for 3 or 4 hours a night, not just I sleep late on weekends. Sleep, and make it a practice. Make it a practice to go to sleep at a certain time. Make it a practice to get your full rest. Make it a practice. You'll feel better. Your brain will be better, and it'll be more helpful with Alzheimer's. Also, protect your head. If you're a skater, if you're a skateboarder, if you're a bike rider, you're supposed to wear your helmets. Make sure you wear your helmets. Make sure your children wear your helmets. It's important not to have a head injury. Sometimes this happens later. Also, wear your seatbelts. Sometimes if you get into a car accident, if you don't have your seatbelt on, you'll injure your head. It may not show up right away. It may show up later. And this is to protect you from later, because it slowly may happen and you may get Alzheimer's later. They said that Alzheimer's if you have Alzheimer's, it's in your body for years before you start seeing symptoms. So you want to make sure that you don't do anything to cause that. If it's not in your blood or in your body, that you don't want to cause a head injury that will bring this on. So that is something that is very important that the Healthy Brain Initiative director spoke about. Just make sure cardiovascular, your blood is flowing, your heart is good. Make sure of these things. Diagnosis. If you have any questions, make sure the first place is your primary doctor. Ask them, let them know what you're going through. Ask them questions. If you don't understand what they're saying, make sure you take somebody with you so they can explain. Write it down. Take somebody with you. Tell him what the symptoms is, and then maybe he will order tests for you. He might send you to another doctor. He may send you to a neurologist. Different things. So it's good for you to ask questions, but also to have somebody with you, because sometimes it's overwhelming. It's a lot. So it's good if you have somebody with you so they can understand and what you don't understand and what you didn't remember when you take it home. Also, sometimes you don't know the questions to ask the doctor. You can also call the Alzheimer's hotline, and they can give you the questions that you should ask the doctors. So the hotline is actually 1-800-272-3900. 1-800-272-3900. You can call that for a lot of different things, but one of the things that they do provide is that if you ask them, say, I'm not really sure, how do I phrase this, or I'm going through this, how do I ask my doctor? Is this, maybe it's just normal, but they probably will encourage you to ask your doctor so your doctor can find out if it's just regular normal forgetting or if it's Alzheimer's. And there are various tests that they may have you take. Also, the Alzheimer Association has trained people to do a wellness test. They can come out and they can do a wellness test. They can come out to your home, or they can do a wellness test. If you have a caregiver, if you are a child that wants to find out about your parent, if you're taking care of your parent, if you're just questioning your parent because you notice different things, then call Alzheimer's Association and ask them, say you just want a wellness test. You want to see if everything's okay, if everything's all right with your parent, and just make sure that they're doing well. And they'll tell you where to go from there. They'll tell you what to do from there. So again, the hotline is 1-800-272-3900. That's the Alzheimer's hotline. So you can call and ask for any kind of question, any kind of information. You can also call for centers if you need to go, or you want to find out they have memory loss centers where you can go for, or you can call them for trials. If they have any trials, ask them if they have any trials that are coming up. If you want to be considered, if you think you have Alzheimer's and you want to be considered for the trial, then you of course have to have it. But if you want to be considered for that, then see what they're offering for that. They'll direct you in a proper way. Also, they talked about a lot of different things. They talked about legal issues. They talked about caregiving and how tough it is and things like that, which we've discussed on Autumn also. But they also talked about different drugs that they have out, and they explained how, like Aricept, Exelon, and the different drugs that they have out, they are older drugs that they've used that did help, but it actually treats the symptoms and not the disease. So what they're working on is something to treat the actual disease. And now they are working on, there was a drug that was a trial drug, but it is in its third phase, and it has proven to actually treat the actual disease. It's not out yet, but the Alzheimer's Association is pushing the FDA to, accelerate the process, and hopefully they'll have it. I'm going to see if I can pronounce it. Lecanemab. Okay, lecanemab. LACANEMAB. Lecanemab. That's something new that they're working on, but it's in the third phase. So it's pretty close. If they can keep it, testing it, make sure it works, it is something that will affect the actual disease, which is wonderful. It will do more than slow down the symptoms. It'll affect the disease. So that's progress that they're doing. I just want to encourage people that people are working on this. People all over working on dementia and Alzheimer's all over the nation. It's affecting so many people, and they're trying to make it where if there's not a cure, which there's not a cure for Alzheimer's, but there are treatments and there are medications, and until you get a cure. So that's what they're working on. They also talked about they're looking at possibly being able to do a blood test one day. Not right now, but in the future sometime. If it would be wonderful if they can do a blood test and they can test you at an early age and find out whether you have the trait for it, or whether you have a habit, or are susceptible to it, or whatever. And if they test it in your blood and they find that out, they may be able to give you some medications that will slow it down at an earlier age. This way, when you're older, you may not be so affected by all the symptoms. So it'd be great if they can get a blood test. They're working on that. I'm hoping for that. I really believe that they will have a cure for this. I don't know when, but I believe that they will have a cure for this. And it's good to know that the Alzheimer's Association is really working on it, and people from all over is working on it. And they have so many diverse departments. They're considering everything. They're considering testing. They're considering treatment. They're considering the doctors and the knowledge of the doctors. They're considering social and ethnic backgrounds and educational disparities and different things. They're considering all kinds of different methods to try to get a breakthrough for Alzheimer's. So I'm excited about that. I am happy that they're working on that, and I just hope that sometime in the near future that this drug that they have will help to actually slow down the actual disease, and give them time to possibly find a cure. So that's what I'm giving today. I'm giving information today. I did not give an interview because they were unable to do it, but I'm giving you the information that I have that can help you. I'm hoping that you're encouraged by this, that there is people working on this, and hopefully it will not be so long. I just want to give a shout out to someone who did a interview with me on Autumn is Here, Sameen Farrakhandeh. She was a caregiver to her mom. Her mom transitioned this week, and I just wanted to send her some love. Thank you all for listening to Autumn is Here. Enjoy your Christmas. I'm sure that after dinner, everybody is looking at Autumn is Here, and that's what you're looking at on Christmas Day. But I hope that you are enjoying yourselves, enjoying family and friends, and I will see you next year. Okay, bye-bye.